Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to go through an introduction to Program 4, which focuses on object-oriented programming. In this program, we will take in an input file, pokédex.txt, that contains some information about some Pokemon characters. If you're curious about these Pokemon, there's a link here with the pictures of them and some information, but really what's going on is there's already this input file created for you that you will just need to save. And then there is a pokédex.py file that has some Python code written already for you, and your job will be to supply the missing functions such that interaction with a user could produce a transcript like this one, and we'll return to this in a second. But first, let's just go ahead and save this in the same folder that we saved our pokédex.txt. And I will open up the pokédex.py file, take a look at the Python source code. And so we can see that we will need to put our Pokemon class that we'll make and some additional functions into this space right here. And we don't want to change anything down here. If you need to change anything down here while you're developing your program, you can. But I think the best approach is probably just to work in this space right here throughout your development of your program. So, what will we be graded on? So, you're going to need to define your Pokemon class, and it's going to need 6 methods. Which are described here. And let's actually just take a look at what this code is doing. So if we look at the main function here, we can see that the first thing that happens is we call create Pokédex, and we input the string that's the name of that Pokédex file. So let's take a look at create Pokédex. Because one thing that I've noticed when people are working on this assignment is there's some confusion about what is this Pokédex, right? In Python, there's nothing that's telling you what data type Pokédex is. So if we want to know what is this Pokédex thing, we're going to need to actually look at what's returned by create Pokédex. And so if I take a look in here, I see that Pokédex is initialized to be a empty list, and at the end we return Pokédex. So this function is going to return to us a list, and if we take a close look at this, we see that just like we've been doing in our labs that we're working and assignments that we're working on, working with files, we open the file and then we iterate over every line in the file. We use the .split method on strings to split up the data in each line, to take out the number, the name, the combat points, and the types. Then we do some special processing on the types here that you'll need to look at closely if you are curious. But what I really want to point out is that what happens for each line, what are we doing? We are adding in an instance of the Pokemon class, a Pokemon object, to the Pokédex list. And so by the time we finish this for loop, we're going to have a list of Pokemon objects that we return. And that is what this Pokédex is. It's a list of Pokemon objects, which you will define what a Pokemon object looks like in the Pokemon class, but Pokédex is the list of Pokemon objects. Then there is a menu that is printed, and the user gets to select what functionality they want to see happen. Let's take a look at the transcript. So just like in, I think, the weather program that we've seen already, in this program you're going to implement a sort of menu where the user can enter an option, and depending on what option they enter, different functionality will occur, and so you'll need to implement that. So it looks like the next thing that happens, we create the Pokédex, then we have a nice bit of a nice usage of a while loop here, which allows the user to keep entering choices until they enter anything other than 6. And what happens first, every time we go through this while loop, well, we call this print menu function, which is actually not defined. So in your program, you're going to need to define print menu function. And if we maybe go back over to the assignment, we see that there's actually not just print menu, but many other functions that you're going to need to define. And so what I actually wanted to show in this demo is, I'm not going to get the program fully working for you, but I want to show you what it looks like to use diff checker to make sure that your output matches the transcript that is provided. So what I'm going to do is go through writing this print menu function and checking that the menu that's printed is the same as the menu that's printed in the sample transcript. So let's just work through that. All right, so if I try to run this, I see that the Pokemon class is not defined. So to start off, I'm just going to make myself a little stub of a class. I wonder, I've actually not tried just passing. Yes, I'm going to need to define my constructor because we call the constructor right here. We call the constructor. So I'm going to make a constructor method that it's not going to do everything that you're going to need to do in your constructor method, but it'll get our program running. So remember, init is the constructor in Python. It always needs to take in self, and then here we take in name, number, combat points, combat points, and types. And for me, I'm just going to pass right now because I'm just trying to get something working so I can call print menu. So let's see if this will run. And it looks like I can get through to the print menu call, which is good. So now I'm going to define print menu, and my guess is this doesn't take in any arguments, but I can just double check. Yep, when we call it, we don't pass in any arguments. And what should this do? It should print the menu that is displayed right here. And so I am just going to copy this and paste it in. And there are a lot of ways you could do this, but I'm going to use a triple quoted string, which allows me to have a multi-line string. You could use multiple print statements. There are a lot of good options here, but I'm just going to do that and see if that works. And it looks like it's working so far. And it looks like there's supposed to be a line break between this menu printing and the prompt to enter a menu item, so I'm just going to add in a line break here. One option for me, because I use the triple quoted string, is just to add a line break there. And now I have my line break. And so maybe I'll just type in 1 and we'll see that I haven't implemented print Pokédex yet, which is fine, because I just wanted to show you how I can check that I'm going to get all those points for matching the output. So I need to match this, and what I've done is I've gone to diffchecker.com, which is linked on the website, but you can also just put it in your address bar there. And so what this tool does, if you haven't used it yet, you should start using it. If I just paste in the text that I need to match, so that's just directly copied from the example output, and then I copy my output that I can just see in the idle shell, and I just paste that in. Now, so to my eyes, they look the same. If I run this, because they are the same, I get a nice little message, the two files are identical. But let's say that I had not noticed that there was a line break in the sample transcript, and so I didn't put that line break in. Then when I went over and I copied my output and I ran this, I would get, diffchecker would tell me that this line here was removed when we go from the original to the changed text. And so this would clue me into the fact that, oh, I missed a line break. And so I need to go back and make a small change to my program so that I can match the sample output. So that is how to use diffchecker to make sure that your program is matching the sample output. And so I really encourage you to use that, just because it can help you find any small differences that you have compared to what you need to be turning in to get full points. So that is program 4. Good luck. Thanks, everyone.